notes, just a little review of what we did in the shop. I'm going to throw these questions out at you guys. 3 most common layouts for framing are what on center, what else on center, and what else on center. 16-inch on center, 12-inch on center is another one. What's the other one? Most common ones. There's 3 of them.
Is it that 9 one?
No, that's not a common one. No, there is no 6-inch.
Oh, you put the tally marks right on top?
Yeah. 16, 12, and what else? What's halfway across the sheet? 4 foot. So what's half that? 2 foot. 2 foot on center. So them are the 3 most common, 16, 24, and 12. Another layout that is used is what? 16, 12, and 24. What was the other one? The one with a little symbol out there.
Was it 19?
19.2, yes. 19.2 on center. Okay. And that 19.2 on center is represented by what on a tape measure? A diamond. Yes. D-I-A-M-O-N-D. Or you could just draw the shape of a diamond on your notes. I don't really care. The importance of layout is so the blank covering the framework works without waste. The what are we worried about for layout? Why do we do layout? We talked about support, but what else? We're concerned with what working, so you don't have a bunch of waste. The material covering the framework, right? So material is 4. 5, when laying out framing for a wall, both what should be placed together and marked? What are they called? You're just laying out your 2x4s. You got 2 of them. Talking about a wall, though. This says when laying out framing for a wall. What's that called? Plates. They're called plates. So there is a top plate and there's a bottom plate. You lay them out together, right? And mark them together. We talked about why. Why wouldn't you want to lay them out separately? You want them exactly the same. And if you start dealing with windows and doors and you try to mark them separately, your walls are going to be all messed up. By the way, they are called top and bottom plate. Does anybody know another name for that bottom plate? And we'll go over this later when we go over some wall parts. It's called a sole plate. S-O-L-E, sole. Okay. Okay, 6. Layout marks should be placed blank the thickness of the framing material members back from the center being used. So how far do you mark back? Half the thickness. Normally, yes, it is 3/4, and that's usually the answer I get shouted out at me, but it's not always 3/4. Okay, depends on the material you're being used. So half the thickness. Layout marks should be placed on the blank of the framing members. Where should they be marked? We talked about this. The edge, not the flat, not the big wide part. They should be marked on the edge. The side of the layout line that the framing member goes on is marked with an X. Something we didn't really cover out there. And some people lay out a little bit different, but X's are studs, and then another common mark is an O. O is for what's called a cripple, and we'll go over that later, not right now. So X's and O's is usually how a wall's laid out. 9. A blank and a blank should be used to mark the layout marks across both plates of the wall. What do you use to mark it? A sharp pencil.
Yeah, sharp.
And what else? Do you just kind of guess what square is and just mark it across there with a pencil? No, you use a square of some sort. Not always do you have to use a speed square. They are handy for that. They're usually right in your pouch. You could use a framing square. It does the same thing. Any type of square, but it's got to be some type. 10. When framing 2x4 materials should be nailed together with what? 16D sinker nails, yes. When framing 2x4 material, each end must be fastened with how many nails? 2. Yes, you want to kind of space them out. You don't want to get them real close to the edge, and we'll go over this a little bit later. But you don't want to put them this close together, because what could that stud do if you nail them that close together? Twist. When it starts drying, it's going to twist all over the place. So you got to space them out a little bit. Number 12, we went over a little bit of this, and I kind of skipped around a little bit. When framing, there's 4 different thicknesses of material that should be nailed with 8D sinkers. We went over a couple of them. 16? How thick? Think about the sheeting we were using out here. What was the thickness? I told you what went on the floor, and it's tongue and groove, but what is the thickness? Does anybody remember? 3/4. So 3/4 is one of them. So you'd still use 8Ds with that. Roof, especially, well, if it's on 16 on center, you can go smaller, but normally everything's trussed and they're on 2-foot centers, so you have to use 1/2-inch sheeting. So 1/2 inch is one. And normally on walls, when they sheet walls, that's usually sheeted because it's a little bit cheaper, 7/16, because it doesn't need to be as strong as a roof. So it's a 1/16 less. Then they also make a 3/8 sheeting. So that's the 4. 3/8, 7/16, 1/2, and 3/4. And they all get nailed with 8s. Three. 3/4, 1/2, 7/16, and 3/8.
And they're blowing up the engine.
You got just 3 there, though, don't you? What's this?
3, first one you said?
3/8. So it's got an 8 underneath it. 3/8 of an inch. This looks like a 3 to me. That's why I'm asking. 15.
13.
What did I skip? Sorry. To square up a wall or a floor system, blank measurements should be checked to make sure they're the same. Diagonal measurements. 14. When installing material that is covering the framing system, the starting point is the end that layout blank from. Started from, yes. Where you started is where you want to start fastening it. The first fastener in the covering material should be placed in a corner. Yes, the corner layout started from, lining both edges up, right? After blank outside edge of the covering material is fastened flush with the framing, the perpendicular edge is fastened flush. One entire edge. Normally on a wall, it's the bottom. You fasten the bottom first, then up that edge, okay? On a floor, it's usually the long ways, the 8-foot way, lining that up with the edge. The fasteners for the covering material should be no farther apart than 8 inches. Normal nailing is 6 to 8 inches, okay? So everybody's clear on that, right?
So Adams, I got a question.
Okay.
What was 10 again?
You can watch the video.
I don't have internet at my house.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. 10 was 16D sinkers. You can stop that.